It's an interesting mix of people you have sitting up here, an interesting mix of people out there, and that film is flush with issues that we can talk about. As I sat there, I got more and more nervous.
Can you tell something about yourself?
I'm sorry, I'm Tom Trigg. I'm the head of school at Carolina Day School. And as I sat there in the audience, I got more and more anxious about how do I address all of these things. And I found a couple of people in their own anecdotes gave us the right words. And I think the most important word were that we need to be ethical as educators. And maybe this word itself was not uttered, but we need to have courage. And here's why we need to have courage. Most of the energy in our society, in our culture, is reinforcing everything that's contributed to that. And I can't change that by myself. And I look out here and I assume many of you are parents. You are not going to change that by yourself. You're not better than those folks. I'm not better. I have 2 little boys. I get just as anxious about things. It's going to take collective courage. And I think it starts, perhaps, with defining what are we trying to do? We have bought into other people's ideas of success. And by other people, I mean other generations. I mean other interests. The college definition of success is not yours. It's not mine. I could make a full-time job. I've got a pre-K to 12 school. Full-time job of just making the argument that leave me alone and let us run a school that is a school for what we're doing in 7th grade or what we're doing in 10th grade, not a school for what comes afterward, the race to the next thing, right? But here's the challenge. I run a school. We actually charge tuition. I have to appeal to some of you to pay money to come to a school, and you could go to another school that's free. So I have to have the courage to offer an education that is substantive in itself, not just a springboard to something else. The courage to pull off the emperor's clothes and say, wait a second, I'm not going to buy into the competition wheel that says rigor, tradition, demanding, or AP, you fill in the blank, but it's a borrowed term about what kids should be doing in school. You don't have to listen to me. Every parent and kid in there gave you great language. We want kids who have a certain kind of mindset, a certain skill set, who know what to do in life, how to do things in life. I hope you are mortified by the HR person, as well as others who said, I don't want a generation of people who come to work or come to school or come to my neighborhood, and the only way they know how to do anything is if I say, it's a test. Remember, we taught you in Unit 13.1 how to do this. So at my school, we talk a lot about teaching kids to see problems and to work their way through them, not just to solve the problem set that's given to them. The Dean of Education at Stanford talked about kids who are only ready to solve things in a formulaic way. I wrestle a little bit with some of the portrait in the movie that seems to demonize struggle. Struggle is really important. How many of you have not struggled? Right. Struggle is really important.
Stress is good.
Stress is sometimes good. If you know you're going to get through it. If you know it's not the end of your life. And what you saw in some of this were kids who thought that failing was the end. Forevermore, they'd failed their parents, they were off the train of real life. But if we teach kids that to fail is part of learning how to be a better problem solver, to struggle and get yourself unstuck. I talk with our faculty all the time. I want kids to be really good at getting unstuck. And they don't need a coach or a tutor or mom and dad. But, this goes back to the courage thing, if I buy into a rhetoric as I sell my school that says that the measure of my school is how hard it is and that my kids get into Harvard or Yale, then that's how you should measure me. What I really want to do is say that we're teaching kids how to think and solve problems and to chart for themselves a meaningful life. Self-determined kids won't have some of these problems, but a lot about the way we structure education and therefore the way we structure parenting doesn't reinforce self-determination among our kids. So I hope that you will join anyone you see in this hallway, any of us in our ventures, and have courage to say no. Break down what is success. Ask, why are we doing this? Thanks.
Thank you.